This is Unit 1, Level 1 on expressions. We've been talking about words that mean our four operations. Operations like add, subtract, multiply, and divide. You see just a few of those examples listed here on our screen. We're going to use these words to create an expression. An expression is a mathematical phrase that contains numbers and at least one operation. For example, find the sum of 6 and 3 is an expression. And it's an expression that can also be written in numbers. The sum of 6 and 3, which means you're going to add 6 and 3. To change this to an equation, I would need to add an equal sign and give a value on the other side. In this case, the value would be 9. I've now added some other examples. Examples like the first one here where it says find the quotient of 63 and 7. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for words that mean specific operations such as quotient. Quotient I know means to divide. So they obviously want me to divide 63 and 7. I can write that in a numerical expression by writing 63 divided by 7. Now those are examples where there's only one operation. So what happens when they add more than one operation? Let's look at example 2. Number 2 says add 3 and 7, then multiply by 3. Add, okay, I know that means they want me to use addition, and multiply, okay, so I'm not having to figure out any words here. But I do notice that there's a first step and there's a second step. Now we know through order of operations, one way that we can show the first step is by adding in parentheses. So when it is a two-step expression, you typically want to use parentheses to set apart what you want them to do first. This word then tells me what they want us to do second, which is multiply by 3. So we're going to first start with adding 3 and 7. I'm going to put that in parentheses. Then multiply by 3. Now it really doesn't matter if I write it that way or if I write it this way, because we know through order of operations that we're going to do the parentheses first. So either way, the parentheses is going to be done first. That's example number 2. Example number 3 is again a two-step problem, but there's not the then word included. It says multiply the sum meaning I'm going to add, of 6 and 3 by 2. So I'm looking at that sum of 6 and 3. That's the part that I'm going to put in parentheses. Then they want me to multiply that by 2. So I'm multiplying by 2. And again, I could also write that with the multiplication in the front because I'm showing what I'm doing first with those parentheses. Number 4 and 5 are a little bit trickier. This is the example that if students are going to get confused on, it's this type of example. And it comes right here at the beginning with this subtract 12 from 23. Now, if you notice in all of the examples above, numbers 1, 2, and 3, we always put our numbers in the order that they gave us. When they said add 3 and 7, I put it in order 3 and 7. Sum of 6 and 3, I put it in order. But what they're saying here with the subtraction one, I know I'm going to subtract, is they want me to take 12 from 23. From is that key word there. I'm taking it from something. That means I have to start with whatever that something is. And whatever that something is in this case is 23. So with this subtraction, I'm actually, in the way it's written, 12 from 23. That means I'm starting with this 23. I need to write that 23 first and then subtract 12. Let's think about it from the other perspective. If I had written 12 minus 23, I would end up with a negative number. Think about it if I have $12, but I owe my mom 23. Do I have enough to pay her? No, I don't. So that's one way to kind of think about it. So make sure that you get it in order. that you need to. But whenever we have some number from some other number, we're actually starting with that second number, and so that second number needs to come first in our numerical expression. Moving on from there, it says subtract 12 from 23, then, meaning that's what we're going to do second, multiply by 4. Again, since it's two-step, I'm going to put my first step in parentheses, and then I'm going to multiply by 4. You'll notice the next example is the same. Subtract the product meaning the answer to a multiplication problem. So product of 5 and 8, and then it says from 50. Whenever you see that word from, that means you're starting with this number that comes right after it. So I'm actually starting with 50. What am I doing? I'm subtracting from 50 the product of 5 and 8. So product of 5 and 8. I can also take numerical expressions and turn them into written words. So for example, in this first equation, I have 16 plus 24, and then I'm multiplying it by 3. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that into words. So I might say, and there's several different things I could use because I know there are several different words that stand for addition. I can use words like add. I can use words like sum, find the total, all together, and so on. I'm going to use the word sum. So I'm going to write find the sum of 16 and 24, then I want to multiply it by 3. I could also say then triple it, which would also mean multiplying by 3. So there's several different words that you can use here. In this next one, I noticed that I have that tricky situation where I'm taking a certain thing from another. So I'm going to use, first cover the 7 plus the 9. So I'm going to say find the total of 7 and 9. Then subtract it from 38. Notice that from tells me I'm going to start here. And on example 3, I know I'm multiplying 6 and 8, so I'm going to say find the product then divide by 4. Again, there's several different examples or different words that you could use for these equations. These are just the ones that I'm using for this. So we can write expressions both in numbers, and if we have the numbers, we can also write them in words. The difference between an expression and an equation is simply that equal sign. An expression is not going to have that equal sign, whereas an equation will. This is Unit 1, Lesson 1 on expressions.